welcome. You're watching COVID 360. I'm Sneha Mordani. Today our focus is on a mutating variant of SARS-CoV-2. The Delta variant, first sequenced in India last year, has mutated to Delta Plus. How big a threat is this? Also on the show, why is genomic sequencing needed? We're also telling you which vaccine acts against the Delta variant, now being reported in over 80 countries in the world. But first up, the Delta Plus variant, now a variant of concern in India, is spreading. It has higher transmissibility and can have reduced response in monoclonal antibody treatments. Here's a full report.
Delta Plus, the new variant of coronavirus, is spreading slowly in India. 21 cases of Delta Plus have been detected in Maharashtra. The state government says 9 cases are from Ratnagiri, 7 from Jalgaon, 2 from Mumbai and 1 each from Palghar and Sindhudurg Thane. Cases are also detected in Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka and Kerala. So far, over 40 cases have been reported. The centre has asked the 3 states to be on alert.
आज स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय ने इन राज्यों को एक एडवाइजरी जारी करके ये बताया है व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ पब्लिक हेल्थ रिस्पांस दैट महाराष्ट्र, मध्य प्रदेश एंड केरला शुड इनिशिएट which presently looks fairly small in terms of number, but we would not want this to assume significant proportion.
The Delta variant had triggered the second wave that stretched India's health infrastructure to the limits. The fear is that latest variant could evade immunity induced by vaccines and previous infection.
This virus can infect people and can be responsible for the third wave. So it has to be the totally a social responsibility to prevent this third wave from the Delta Plus.
India could perhaps learn from the UK experience. A new study from Public Health England shows that Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was 88% effective in preventing symptomatic disease due to Delta in fully vaccinated people. But the fear is that AstraZeneca vaccine provided slightly less protection. 2 shots were 60% effective against the variant. But there are concerns as well. From February 1 to June 14, 73 deaths were reported in Britain owing to Delta variant. 34 of them weren't vaccinated. 11 had received 1 dose of COVID vaccine. 26 had received both shots.
Scientists are still working to understand this virus, and particularly now with these mutating viruses. And for safety, the only weapon we have is vaccination. AstraZeneca is equivalent to COVID Shield of India. It is definitely effective, almost 80 to 90% if you had both the doses of this vaccine.
As of Wednesday, there are over 200 known cases of Delta Plus variant. United States and United Kingdom have more than half of them.
With the Delta Plus variant, the immediate question is, could it be a contributing factor to the impending third wave in India? Experts believe that one should move on precedents because even though the Delta variant, the parent variant, was seen in India in a few cases in December 2020, emerging evidence shows that it was the one that wreaked havoc across the country in the second wave of COVID-19. Right now, more sequencing will need to be done from each and every district where the Delta Plus is being reported from. With Dinesh Lal in New Delhi, this is Milan Sharma for India Today.
What is the variant of concern and how is it different from a variant of interest? Take a look. All right, let's now tell you the difference between a variant of interest and a variant of concern. What is the fundamental difference? It's a variant of interest when there is one or more mutation, and that has a biological consequence like increased transmission. It gets converted into a variant of concern when the mutations have increased, when there is increased transmission. It's more virulent, and also when there is reporting of immune escape. So then it is classified as a variant of concern. Variants of concern are being monitored by the World Health Organization. There are 4 of them. Delta variant, first sequenced in India last year. The Alpha variant, sequenced in the UK first. The Beta variant, sequenced in South Africa first. And then the Gamma variant, sequenced in Brazil first. These are the variants of concern. Delta Plus, remember, is a lineage of Delta variant and is a variant of concern right now in India and outside. Given that Delta variant is spreading throughout the world and is expected to account for 90% of cases in Europe by August, we find out which vaccine is defeating this variant of concern. Milan Sharma with more.
Does the Delta Plus variant reduce a vaccine's efficacy? That's the big debate as the mutant becomes the new threat in the battle against coronavirus. What has set off alarm bells is a Lancet study which said that the AstraZeneca vaccine given as a Covishield in India provides slightly less protection against the variant even with 2 shots, 60% after 2 doses, just 33% after a single shot. But vaccine experts in India are not too worried.
See, though there are certain reports which initially talked of reduction in the efficacy of the vaccine against this Delta variant. However, if you look at the data that is emerging from vaccine rollout participants from UK, where they did an observational study, they found that whether it is AstraZeneca or even Pfizer, they retain their ability to stop these mutants still. Despite the fact that small amounts may have been dropped to some extent.
But the bigger concern is that the Delta Plus mutant is making monoclonal antibody treatment ineffective, which means it has the potential to damage human organs.
All of us know that in South Africa, they found that this particular variant, 417 variant, was also part of the variant of P1, that is the Brazilian variant, which was able to evade the vaccine-induced immune response. Now, cell-to-cell transmission is something which is far different, which we have not seen so far. Perhaps also ensure that different organs, wherever it goes, it may be able to go by syncytia formation into other cells and linger there to produce more organ damages.
The jury is still out on whether the vaccine will work against the Delta Plus variant. For now, 2 doses of a vaccine is still the best option to keep any variant of coronavirus at bay.
The question that most people would now ask is, would we have enough evidence to show or to prove that it's either evading or not evading vaccines, or it's either not evading antibodies or immunity that has been developed through natural infection?
On South African variant, we started thinking that it might have some property like that. But again, we need to have experimental verification of that, validations of that. And we don't have enough cases that vaccine breakthroughs are always happening because of the Delta Plus. We can't say it.
The only consolation is that the global data shows that the number of breakthrough infections to the Delta variant is still small. With Milan Sharma in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
As Delta variant spreads its spike in United Kingdom, it has ignited a fresh debate over vaccines versus variants. While some studies suggest vaccine supremacy on variants and its record of no deaths after vaccination, some data shows deaths being reported due to Delta variant, well, after being vaccinated with both doses. Here's more from Lavina Tandon, who gets us this story from London.
The Delta variant has spoiled United Kingdom's best laid plans. On 21st June, the UK would have come out of the shackles of lockdown, but for the new variant of coronavirus.
तो हमें ये मालूम था कि 21 को ओपन खुल जाएगा तो उस हिसाब से हमने अरेंज करा था ये सोचते हुए कि जस्ट इन केस इफ समथिंग गोज रॉन्ग सो वी आर अरेंज आउटसाइड द हाउस लेकिन वेल जैसे एक्सटेंशन हो चुका है तो भी अब हमें बाहर करना पड़ेगा जो भी
Rising cases of B16.7.2, or commonly known as Delta variant, are on the rise in the UK. The British Prime Minister has cautioned people against any laxity.
I think you can never exclude that there will be some new disease, some new horror that we simply haven't budgeted for or accounted for. But looking at where we are, looking at the efficacy of the vaccines against all variants that we can currently see, so Alpha, Delta, the lot of them, Kappa, I think it's looking good for July the 19th to be that terminus point.
Health experts suggest a third wave isn't far away, and the only weapon in the arsenal is the vaccine.
I've been fully vaccinated now. I got my second dose 3 days ago. I'm more confident. In my first dose, I had a little bit of fever, but in my second dose, I am absolutely feeling great, and I'm more confident now.
A new study done by the Public Health England shows that 2 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine are 92% effective against hospitalization due to the Delta variant.
Scientists are still working to understand this virus, and particularly now with these mutating viruses. The one we very well know is Delta virus, which originated from India. And for safety, the only weapon we have is vaccination rollout. AstraZeneca is equivalent to COVID shield of India. It is definitely effective, almost 80 to 90% if you had both the doses of this vaccine.
But the data also suggests all is not well. From February 1 to June 14, 73 deaths have been reported in Britain owing to the Delta variant. 34 of them were not vaccinated. 11 had received 1 dose of COVID vaccine. 26 had received both shots. The Public Health England study also revealed a high level of effectiveness against the Alpha variant, with an 86% reduction of hospitalizations and 0 deaths. With most studies suggesting better immune defense once vaccinated, people aren't taking any chances.
This area where there's more of an Indian community, yes. So there is a big rollout of Pfizer vaccine. Like we can see, everyone is turning up all the appointments and everything. So everything is running according to the government guidelines. Everything is on time at the moment.
This is a walk-in vaccination centre in the Hounslow area of London, where Delta variant had resulted in high number of cases. Now this is open to even the 18-year-olds and above. Pfizer is being given, according to the government guidelines, to 18 and 40, and AstraZeneca to those above that age group. Public Health England data has revealed that AstraZeneca is 92% effective against the Delta variant, which is threatening the opening of the economy on the 19th of July, like it did on the 21st of June. Now the races between vaccination and the variant. Lavina Tanton for India Today from London.
Delta is also on the rise in the United States, particularly in the Midwest and Southeast. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has declared it a variant of concern on the 15th of June. America says the variant's severity can be blunted by vaccines, this even as the country is opening up. Here's more. The United States is very worried. Even as it opens its cities to commerce and normal life is once again looking up, a new danger appears to be lurking in the shadows.
Similar to the situation in the UK, the Delta variant is currently the greatest threat in the US to our attempt to eliminate COVID-19. Good news, our vaccines are effective against the Delta variant. Conclusion, we have the tools, so let's use them and crush the outbreak.
The concern is the high transmissibility of the Delta mutant as compared to the original variant of COVID-19. The new challenge for America comes when the country is in a celebratory mood with what it believes is defeat of the coronavirus. Americans discarded the mask even as the Delta variant spread to 80 countries, ignoring the fact that it could be accounting for 90% of the new COVID cases in Europe by August. This variant of concern was first sequenced in India in October last year. The INSACOG, which is a consortium of labs undertaking genome sequencing, and the National Center for Disease Control in India have said that the Delta variant is the reason behind the second wave of the pandemic in India. The government says the two vaccines that are being used in India right now are showing efficacy against this variant.
There is this fear that this mutation will actually cause this new variant to develop an immune escape mechanism which will decrease the efficacy of vaccine and also have an effect on monoclonal antibodies because they will not cover against this variant and therefore will not be effective. Now we need to have more data, especially from the labs, and look at it clinically to see whether this is actually true or not. And that is being generated, and I'm hopeful that in the next few weeks we will have more concrete data as far as this Delta plus variants and its effect, which may make it then a variant of concern, is concerned.
Delta variant has been linked to a resurgence of COVID-19 in Nepal, Southeast Asia and elsewhere. But its UK spread has given scientists a clear picture of the threat it poses. It has been found to be 60% more transmissible than the already highly infectious Alpha variant called B.1.17, identified in the United Kingdom in late 2020. The one hope is that vaccines work against the Delta variant and blunt the spread. But even as the US is falling back on its vaccine drive, the White House has admitted that inoculating 70% of adults by July 4th will not be possible. A few additional weeks will be definitely needed to hit that target. With Bureau Inputs, Sneha Mordani in Delhi for India Today. Genomic sequencing, India says, has picked pace. But are we still doing enough? It is imperative to identify mutating variants to understand if they get defeated by vaccinations and respond to treatment. I find out in this report. A network of 28 labs is undertaking genome sequencing of coronavirus in the country. Experts say India has never sequenced variants in a big way, but the second wave and now the emergence of the Delta Plus means we will have to pick up the pace.
Genomic sequencing has been restricted to research institutions in India. It was not in the DNA of our fabric to sequence clinical samples. Now the need has come, so we are tying up institutes to hospitals and bringing up the facility.
The surveillance allows researchers to examine the genome sequence of the viral strains infecting the population. Continuous monitoring of viral genome variations is very useful in tracing the path of the spread of the disease. This information can be used in deciding containment measures and strategies. Mutations can also influence the course of the pandemic by altering the properties of the virus and generating new variants. Mutations conferring immune escape are of particular concern. Currently, 45,000 samples have been genome sequenced in India by the Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genome Sequencing Consortia that was formed towards the end of 2020. However, given the country's population and case burden, sequencing numbers remain disproportionately low.
What we need is that 0.2 to 0.5% of this population will need to be screened. Now that calls for a more complex approach. We can mount a much faster public health response, which could be lockdowns, containments, tracings, and especially ICU surveillances, to look at which is that aggressive strain that is leading to the deaths in these people.
The government says that they are looking at ramping up genomic surveillance in a big way in the country. Collection of bioinformatics and data from rural India and also from places worst hit in the second wave of the pandemic is being done. They're also saying that they have expanded the network of their own labs, apart from looking at involving private labs in all of this. That conversation too, they say, has begun. With inputs from Nolan Pinto in Bengaluru, Sneha Mordani in Delhi for India Today. It's time for a break here. Much more news on COVID-19 after this break.
Keep watching India Today. Remember, do mask on before you move on. Don't forget.
The Delhi police has warned users against a scam involving a fake message being sent out to users asking them to update their KYC details. So the message is being sent out in the name of ICICI Bank and it states, "Dear customer, your ICICI Bank account's KYC has been suspended. Please update your KYC, click in link and activate your ICICI Bank accounts with this link." Now interestingly, if you note that this message has been sent out using someone's personal number, and it is essentially creating an urgency in the user to click on this link. The Delhi police has tweeted about this link stating that it is a phishing link, taking you to a fake ICICI login page to extract your login credentials. Responding to the Delhi police, ICICI too has responded asking people not to share confidential information to anyone on call, SMS or email. So the robbers are essentially trying to get you to fill in your login credentials on this fake ICICI login page so that they gain access to your bank account and steal your money. Now let's just go back to this message once again. There are a few things that are very important to note. Firstly, you'll see that the ICICI Bank has not sent this. The message carries a disheveled spelling of the bank. Language is grammatically incorrect. The link is not from ICICIbank.com domain name, and no bank will send you a message from a random number. So we checked the credibility of this number which has been used to send out this SMS. It belongs to someone from West Bengal and it reflected as scammer. So clearly a lot of people have got this message. So the Delhi police has put out another tweet warning users about other such messages which have been circulating, asking you to dial a certain number. Delhi police stated that never call on such fraud numbers, never download any app on their instruction, and never make any token payment to scammers.
Well, I spoke earlier to a top epidemiologist and senior fellow at Federation of American Scientists, Professor Eric Ding, who says that India could have nipped even the Delta variant in the bud had they done enough genome sequencing. Listen in. Professor Ding, thank you for your time here. Just as we speak, the government right now in India has declared the Delta Plus variant a variant of concern. We are still in the process of understanding how many states have been in fact affected by this variant in the country. What's your understanding of how Delta Plus is spreading not just in India but outside of India?
Delta Plus is a sublineage of the Delta variant, but it has a few other additional mutations that makes it worrisome. Now, in terms of actual transmission, we haven't seen hard evidence that it is equal or worse than the Delta variant, but on that presumption that it is similar, we have to be very precautious. And I think we've seen data that it might evade some monoclonal antibody drugs, and that's usually a bad sign that it has potential reinfection potential. So we have to be very careful.
You know, there is a lot that is being said about the spread of this infection if a person is carrying the Delta Plus variant by a fleeting encounter. Also, for example, if COVID appropriate behavior is ignored, do you think there is enough evidence for us to believe that it is extremely transmissible in that sense?
Well, I think the Delta variant in itself is already extremely transmissible. It's about 30 to 50% more transmissible than Alpha, which makes it about twice as transmissible than the original Wuhan strain. And so I think that is, by definition, very transmissible. And we're seeing the Delta variant having fleeting contact, fleeting exposures, leading to infection in Australia, in Sydney right now. Several individuals who just barely brushed past each other, never touched each other, or lingered near each other, got infected. And that's confirmed by both security cameras and genomic testing of the virus being identical between the two people. So I think we know that it is very contagious. And, I think Delta Plus, we still have to figure out for sure, but I think a good, safe assumption is it is about equal to Delta, and Delta is the most contagious, fastest transmitting variant known to date.
Also, genomic sequencing in India, from 10 labs, we've shifted to about 28 labs in the country, undertaking genomic sequencing. Where do you think we've gone wrong? Because the government says that, look, had we not been doing this right, we would have not sequenced the Delta variant. What's your understanding of how we can really pick up pace as far as genome sequencing is concerned?
Yeah, genome sequencing is really useful for, of course, sometimes contact tracing, but also tracking the rise of new emerging variants. The reason we did not know exactly how fast the Delta variant was spreading, how contagious, what is the risk of hospitalization or the vaccine efficacy, the reason we did not know that in India was because of the lack of good genome sequencing to identify what kind and what virus, and what vaccine. And so it wasn't until that it hit the UK did we finally figure out the exact transmissibility and severity of Delta variant. So if we had it sooner, we could have seen its emergence with more certainty, and we would have known its properties beyond just anecdotal reports that it's much more severe.
Well, that's all in this edition of COVID 360. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and do get the vaccine if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.